All right, we are live. Welcome
Hey,
to welcome to technically episode number 2. We got the visuals for yesterday coming, I promise. We go chop it up here, we're gonna make it all pretty. But two, and today we wanted to have a little bit more girl talk today, as I have to actually shoot. I didn't put my notes up here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull my
no
notes up
problems.
here for.
I'm just excited to be out of the house and be baby free. So I don't know about y'all. You could take 3 minutes to pull up the notes. I don't have to clean up nothing, wipe nobody's nose, wash nobody's hands. I'm happy.
I understand.
Girl, in real life, girl. So
Well,
I teach a
yeah,
class
you
on
know
Tuesday
what?
and Thursday nights, and I had them
I
rolling
can,
the
but
other
you
night.
know what?
Mhm. You went away, sis.
I was saying, I no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
So I teach a class on Tuesday and Thursday nights, and I
Wait,
had them
let's see
rolling last
here.
night because
Let's
I was telling them I
go.
live for Friday because I drink on the weekends. And so Monday through Friday, I'm usually not drinking wine or anything. And so it's so funny because when Friday come, I'll be like, look, the house could go to hell. I don't care who doing what. Yes, put the blanket that you lay on, drag it on the floor if you want to, because I'm about to sit still. So that's how I feel today being baby free. It's like Friday.
No, I understand. I understand. Um, I get it. It's like, well, I don't know. To me, because I work at home now, I work at home
Mhm.
like either with my regular day job or as a content creator or as a what is it called? Content creator, or I forgot my real job. Working for a company. I'm trying not to say the company or whatever. Working
Right.
for a company, and it's like so days and times are starting like to they kind of disappear like, and it's weird because one thing, I'm an extremely punctual person,
Mhm.
extremely to the T. Um, that's my thing, mainly because I live in a constant state of anxiety. So if I got to do one thing, I got to do that thing. I have to do that thing. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on time. I'm gonna be ready. But to away, like I'm working later at sleep, and I'm like, oh my God, it's almost time for me to go back to work. How I'm gonna adjust. But I will say is I think the mental health time off has been very beneficial because
Amen.
I'm at a place where I'm creating right
Yeah.
now. I'm creating, and I don't know if anybody knows creators is when they get to the point where they can't create. Um, they're almost dying, like
Yeah.
legit.
Just like being stuck inside of yourself, you know? Absolutely. Every
Mhm,
now and
mhm.
then your audio
Okay,
goes out on
so
your.
okay, let's see.
So maybe
All
it's
right,
the
we should be
internet.
good now. Can you could you hear? Well, no, I'm hardwired. I don't know. I'm on that
Okay.
1 gig one. I'm on that 1 gig up, 1 gig down thing with thing. So it better not be my internet. What I can do is shut some other stuff down behind that may be going
Mhm.
on the computer as well. Uh, let's see. Let's shut that one
Good,
down.
good. So speaking of shutting some
So
things
okay.
down, I
Hmm.
cannot wait for our guest today. Miss Demetra Glover is going to be amazing. And one of the things that really stood out to me about her story, and I'm excited for her to tell it to you guys, is because in her life, she had to shut some things down. And it reminded me of
Hmm.
how,
Hmm.
as computers, we may be running a whole lot of things in the background, but if we're not
Hmm.
focused on the focus, all the things that are
Hmm.
running in the background are sucking energy, even as we're
Hmm.
trying to
Hmm.
progress forward. And so I'm excited for you guys to hear about her reset journey and just some of the tools that she used to do what Ren
Hmm.
just had to do technically, to shut some things down and give more of the power, more of the energy directly to
Yeah, D.
yes.
You there?
Yeah, I thought you were frozen. You were saying yes,
Oh,
and
okay. You stopped talking.
I thought your computer froze for a second.
Oh,
No,
no, no,
fine,
no.
girl. Listen, I'm so used to how we are on the phone where we just keep talking. We like we don't care about interrupting each other. It's one
Yeah,
of the beautiful things I love about talking to you
yeah.
because
I'm
you don't
trying to
take a
be. You might want to scoot a little bit over to your. You might want to scoot a little bit over to your left. You're kind of like getting further, further into my bosom.
this is the
To
funny part. I
the
don't know
other
my
way.
left from my right.
Okay. Neither do
It's
I. Oh,
so
there you go. A little bit over. Y'all, this was a mistake that I did it, and we was like, I don't know. Well, I think my husband just took it off. He says y'all doing the most. You know what we didn't do though? We did not introduce ourselves. So for the people who don't know us, who and can you make it to where we can see any comments as well? Um my husband Jonathan is behind the scene being producer,
yeah.
being redeeming himself by the grace of God.
Girl, that's all of them.
but but so what was I saying? I forgot. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I completely forgot. I just lost that train of thought.
It's
Oh,
just
we didn't
fun.
introduce ourselves. My name is Ren. Okay, my name is Randomly Ren. I decided about 5 months ago when I went on the mental health leave from my job due to actual stress, like literally lay in the room in the dark. I mean, to hear the gory details of it, you got to pay for that. But let's just say depression was I was, yeah, it was bad. And anxiety and social anxiety and just so much going on. My heart rate was just all kind of randomness that was happening due to my mental health. And so I took a much needed break, and I decided that I was trying to find something I could do that sparked the creativity again. And I'm like, well, what can I do to at least get out the bed? I call it my lazy productivity. We'll talk about that another day.
Mm,
My productivity during depression moments that I can start to get that, I don't know, that enjoyment in life again, find that thing that made waking up worth it again. And it was, my original love for art, design, media, social media, clothes, all that other good stuff. And ultimately, it led me to a place of being, deciding to be me. And although I had always wanted to create content because I was told I was extremely smart, um, I always had a problem with niching down because I am ADHD. And when I I hyper focus. Let me tell you something. If you need a brain surgeon, give me a month. Give me a month. I got you. Now I might guide the person that's cutting you, but give me a month. I got you. That's how crazy my hyper focuses are, and how rich with information. So it really made me say, hey, I want to, share this with the world. There are more people like me, like Tyra. She's one of the people I can talk to about literally anything under the sun. Our conversations go wild, which your guys are gonna see.
yeah.
You guys are gonna go out. But they can just go all over the place, but they always have that come back to that central thread and that central meaning. And I'm like, I
Mm,
want to share that. And so that's been a thing that's been the evidence of, what, Ren, you're starting to come back alive again. You're starting to come back alive again.
yeah.
So that is why, I who I am and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
All right. So you know what you got to
Tyra,
tell
what
us about?
about you?
You got to tell us
What?
about this name though before my turn. Temporary
Hmm.
skin influencer. You got to make us laugh about that
Hmm. Yeah. Well, because I'm ADHD. And so, like, that was like one of the first self care things I did. Because just so happened when I moved, I ended up moving into a home with a jacuzzi. And if you know me, I am a sucker for water, especially if I could submerge every inch of my body in it while jets simultaneously beat my muscles in a warm bath. Y'all, it's heaven, which was the first start of that self-care thing, and you can ask my husband, like, he would come home. I bet I like soaked like 4 times a day. I know my skin was crazy. Anyway, so I started doing research into other stuff I could put in my bath water because I could be a little chemist in my head. I'm like, if I'm gonna be in this water,
Might look some
I
benefit
might
out
as
of it,
well
right?
be, So it started there on YouTube, and I went down this rabbit hole and learned about so much. And then it started with the products, and then I heard chemical names, and now I want to know about chemical formulations. And then now I know about chemical formulations. Now I want to know about synergistic properties. It just keeps getting deeper. So I'm into skincare tech right now, and it keeps just getting deeper and deeper. So I don't know if I'm gonna be this tomorrow. That's the crazy thing about it. That's how real it is.
That's the part,
Like I
right?
could
That's
just
the part. I was like,
be
make
it
us laugh.
tomorrow.
But tomorrow, she might be like a temporary
Yeah,
engineer influencer. You know,
yeah, yeah. So this is just me being me.
I love it. So I love doing this because this gives me an opportunity to be me. It's not, as Ren said
Hmm.
earlier, I'm random too, and so it's not often that I could be in a space where I can be all the different parts of me, and somebody not say, "Tyrus, either you full of BS or you're crazy," because you can't tell me you're
Hmm.
certified in parenting and you're certified in grant writing and you got a scholarship for science. Like none of that has anything to do with each other. And so
Yeah,
I love that I get to do this with you because there are so many parts to Tyra. And when I think, especially when I'm thinking for my clients and for my friends, it's like this strategic part of my brain pulls from all these different directions. And so I love that I get to talk to you and open up. And I also am a mom. I'm, um, I guess you would say, a career woman, but I don't quite ascribe to this career woman belief. You know how some people have that real feminist view, like, oh, my baby's sick, let her daddy pick her up. I'm like, oh, my baby's sick. I'm gonna be daddy. I'll meet you there, but I'm gonna be there. I want to hold my baby, or even when she's in trouble. My son or my daughter might be on the other sofa and they might be pouting, but I'm gonna look over at them because I can't help myself. So I'm a career woman, but not in that sense of not being soft, feminine, funny, a mom. I still cook. I still wear an apron. I still cook real food, like chop up my own greens. And so I get excited to be in spaces where I can be all parts of myself. So not only am I a career woman, but I also have a great love for my community. I have a nonprofit and often
yeah.
volunteer help in different ways with other people's projects that are helping people of God or either people in underserved, primarily urban communities. So that's me.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
Maria, I have a question for you.
And yeah.
So when your kids are big and they're older now, when you think about
Y'all gotta
your
remind
mental,
me that my arm is disrupted my faux background. Y'all gotta help. Y'all gotta remind me.
oh,
I'm
I
trying to
sent
look
you a
cute and I
text.
can't put my arms up.
I sent you a text message. I'm like, let me show you what's going on. Um,
God, just put your
but
arm down. Put your arm down. Okay.
so along your mental health journey,
Hmm.
as a mom, did there come a point where you were like, they're gonna be okay if I'm okay, and so I need to make sure that I'm okay?
Yes, I was forced to accept that. I didn't have the luxury of having, I mean, life taught me at a very early age through some circumstances. And all I knew is after several months of depression, and undiagnosed anxiety disorder, depression, quite sure postpartum depression. I was pregnant for like 10 years straight. Um, on top of trauma, like I am just a mess sandwich. Okay. And I think this is around my masks start cracking. Like
Mm,
the person who I had conditioned myself to survive, um, and the person that was emerging, that was that was coming forth that was from this situation started they started cracking. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember laying there one day, and on this air mattress that would not stay inflated, that was on the floor in a friend's house that I was living at, after that. And woke up on the floor, and I just remember thinking to myself, either when I said I will see my kids again, I said, now they can either find me better, but I don't want them to find me how they left me. I want them to find me better. And that's literally been one of my that is like the my number one drive in life is are my kids, whether they know it or not,
Yeah.
they're
It's so funny how
primary. Yeah.
kids don't know. I look at so many
Yeah.
times that I judged my mom harshly
Hmm. Hmm.
when I was younger, not realizing that everything was for me and my brother, right? My mom worked a lot, and I often felt like she didn't slow down to take care of herself. Um, and I would fuss, and I would kind of have my little comment.
Hmm.
But what I didn't realize was she was working so hard so that while I lived out of state, if she needed to hop on a
Hmm.
plane, she could. Or while I traveled and did me, that if I said, Mom, I'm in an emergency, somebody kidnapping me
Hmm.
or anything, or I've gotten into a fight with my boyfriend and I need to come home off this trip, that she could make that move. And so it was as I got older that I started to see so many of the things were sacrifices for her
Tell her I
kids.
still
This was not
can.
at the expense of her kids. And so it's funny how I often have to
Yeah.
remind myself all the time, I'm like, oh, it's going to be my fault anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm a good mom because that's the only part. If I die tomorrow,
Yeah.
they can't take friend Tyra and they can't take broken
Yeah.
hearts. But what they can pull on is everything that I've deposited into them and being a great mom and training them up and getting them ready for the world that they could take to the bank. And so in your recent
Yeah.
years
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Absolutely.
life, have there been reset? And I'm talking about this mental reset, right? Because especially when we get into Ms. D's story, I think so many things are choices, and we may be faced with life
And she and she,
circumstances. Your house burns down. She's joining on.
yeah,
See,
we
I'm
yeah.
so
Yep. Yep. She is.
bad with text, so I don't see. But in life, because
No,
of life
I see her.
circumstances, we may oh, good. We may bump into things like our house burns down or we get, a serious illness and we have to reset. And so, speaking of the reset journey, we have Miss Demetra Glover, who my family lovingly calls Miss D. Welcome, Miss D.
Yes. Always Miss D. She Miss D when she fussing at you, but she Demetra when she trying to get you to toot that thing up.
Oh, yeah. When she put the liquid tights on, she turned straight into Demetra. You can't put the mist on.
My friend to party and my friend to get me together.
Amen. Yes. So
No,
welcome.
she
So
that
I want to start off
friend that keep you together, keep you
for
balanced.
real. And to get listen, if you think about dating somebody, bring them by the elevate grooming lounge because she gonna get them together for you too. She'll get your kids together.
Oh,
She'll get your man
your
together.
mute, your mic is
Reno,
on mute. Oh yeah, yeah. If
she
you
gonna
go
get them
tell Miss
together.
D, she
She'll get
gonna
the
handle it.
kids
She
together.
gonna handle it.
Yep.
Hmm. Hmm. I think Miss D is one of the first. Oh, Riley, do not start. Her mic. She was just muted, baby. She was muted, y'all. She's coming back in. Yeah, but
Mhm.
she. I know. I would go to her for when I had my locks, just to stop in and get a
Mhm.
shampoo. I knew where she was, and just she is literally like the first person that when you can say when someone is anointed for what they do,
Amen.
it's like when it's just your shampoo. Like your shampoo is like a whole therapy session
Hmm.
and a
Energy
energy
healing.
release and a
Yeah.
Like, so when right, so when she called herself trying to go to all men's grooming salon, I just politely told her, "You know that will not stop me from coming, right?"
I love it. And I want the same
I'm
too. But
still
you
gonna
make me
come.
laugh. I
I'm
don't
still
get the
gonna
same
come.
treatment that like my son, my dad, they get their face steamed and she do their legs. And I'm like, I don't get all that. So I'll fuss when she gets back. But so I was gonna
She
ask
will.
you, Ren,
Oh
as
yeah,
mom,
you got to put yeah. uh
you got a who? Oh, I
No, no,
missed
go
part
ahead.
of it. Oh, I was gonna ask,
No, I wasn't
as a
saying anything.
oh, gotcha. I was gonna ask, as a wife and mom, along your journey to kind of reset yourself and reset your health, were there certain things, maybe there are boundaries that you had to put in place to help you balance your energy?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I know,
Boundaries.
girl, tell me about it.
Boundaries. And the thing about boundaries is, let me start with a misconception that I had that I think that most people will have or do have about boundaries is that everyone's are the same. And they are not.
Mm,
And they're not
mm-hmm.
because we are all humans having their own experience here who've had
Yeah,
their own experiences. And I had to get over the idea that boundaries, there she go.
I got it, y'all.
Boundaries, but boundaries was a thing that I had to become okay with accepting where mine were, knowing what mine were, because mine were weird. Mine were too much. Mine were, oh, you just being dramatic. You know what I'm saying? It's
mm,
like, but you have
somebody
no
else said it.
idea. Yeah, you don't know why and how these boundaries came for me and why I need to maintain, why you might want. They're not just for my safety, but they're for yours too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That part.
It's for yours too. So I I once I got over that mindset, quick boundaries became, I will set the weirdest boundary just randomly, and I'll tell you just because that's where I am today. And then that's it. But I do at least voice them. Now I'm not one of those weirdos who just like think that we can telepathically guess their brand new boundary for the day.
Yeah.
I at least voice mine. What how no matter how random or how often it is, Jonathan is often very confused. So yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting? I think we find it harder oftentimes to voice those boundaries, even if it's to save ourselves, right? And I've had, personal conversations with people at times where I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm really about to be vulnerable with you and tell you I'm trying to save me. I'm trying to keep me together, right? I'm trying to keep me
Yep.
from flipping out on somebody. I'm trying to keep me from busting a gasket internally. And so this ain't about you. But what's so weird how, and I'm gonna call it our inner child. I think there's a part of us inside of us that doesn't want to lose people, that doesn't want to offend people because we don't want to be the bad guy. And so we'll
Yep.
often try to negotiate our own boundaries as opposed. So, ooh, I praise the Lord, friends. One of my friends gave me the book Boundaries. Um, and we got into a book club and we did this book club over a year just to
Hmm.
talk about how to put them in place because
Hmm.
there's a part of us that thinks we're protecting ourselves and others
Hmm.
by ignoring our own boundaries. And so I want to jump right into
Hmm.
your story, Miss D, because I
Hmm.
recognize you had to put some boundaries in place.
Yeah.
You could preserve your physical health.
Yes.
You can save your
Hmm.
own life. So there was no knight in shining armor,
And
no big strong husband. You were doing it.
Mm-mm. I didn't have none of that. And
yeah.
for me, it was time sensitive.
Hmm.
Um, and
Tell us
that is
for the people
that
who
is that is that is it. Like boundaries for me was time sensitive. Who I spent my time with, how I spent my time, and what I spent my time doing. So in the midst of that part of my reset, um, and just part of my life,
Hmm.
that chapter in my life, I knew that those boundaries, that time sensitive mode had to be put in place for my life. For
So if you
me,
want the whole story, you need to check out her book, The Reset Journey.
hey,
It's an
look, I have it right
anthology,
here too. Yes.
one of the most impactful. Um, so if you want the whole story, you got to get the
Yes.
book. We're gonna share how you get it. But Miss D, give us, take
Mhm.
us back to the day that your life changed. That day that you were like, I'm not regular sick. I'm this not a stomach virus. Take us to that day.
So it was back in 2008 where I had a night of fun with my sorority sisters. It was one of my sorors' birthday, and we were out at the restaurant, had fun, had our little fun night, birthday. The next morning, I woke up throwing up, really, really sick, ill, and just could not stop. So I just automatically, all the signs were signs of food poisoning. So I just thought I had food poisoning. So thinking I'm going to getting rushed to the hospital, rushing myself to the hospital, and just thinking that, okay, hey, I'm I have, a case of food poisoning. And doctor walks in and like, no, Miss Glover, you're going into kidney failure. And I'm like, kidney failure? Like, what's that? I had no signs of anything. Um, no hypertension at the time, no diabetes, none of that. So, of course, my case was just a tad bit different from normal individuals that have kidney disease. Well, I had a rare kidney disease called polycystic kidneys. And that was my very first um, episode, I would say, where it was a total enlightenment on me. Like, okay, so what in the world do you have to do? Because I know at that point I'm like, okay, I have to. My children is my main priority at this time because after going through a divorce at the time, um, automatically becoming a single mother by default, you fall into that mode of, I guess, I would call it like that superhero mode where,
Mhm.
everything just is stopping and your main focus is that common denominator and that's those kids. So that and just you just running full throttle. So I didn't have time to think about, okay, kidney disease, polycystic kidneys, what is it? So after gathering myself, not necessarily going into any forms of pity mode or anything like that. What can I do? And so for me, I was like, okay, normally when you get sick, of course, you have some toxic things going on. So that's when the time sensitive mode came into play. My journaling and my walk with God got closer, my relationship with Him, just journaling, meditating, and just keeping individuals in my life at that time that meant better and good for me. Um, I call that, your front row few. My front row few
Oh,
is who I had to tap into in
so
order for me to be where I am today. So,
now,
yeah.
so you're on the other side of receiving a kidney. But when you were going through the process of needing to clean up your emotional life, strengthen your spiritual life, how did you choose your front row few? What was that kind of criteria where you were like, can't answer her phone calls. He gotta go. What was that process like?
Ooh, um, understanding and discerning the spirit by the spirit, trying the spirit by the spirit, however that saying goes.
Mhm.
um, and just knowing, not necessarily creating a marker of like, okay, this person
Try to
did this or that person did
spirit
that.
by the
Try to spirit
spirit.
by there you
Yeah.
go in, Ren. So it was really and just really like I said, building that relationship with God and just allowing Him to guide,
Mhm.
and knowing who really. is for you. And you were talking about boundaries earlier. Sometimes we love by default,
Mm,
and keep people around by default only because they did X, Y, and Z 15 or 20 years ago, or just last week. But that doesn't necessarily mean that at that point in time
come
that
on.
they're to
Healthy
be
people.
in your, yeah, like they're either helping you or, and
Hmm.
it's not even about the help, because I believe in cultivating the right
Yeah.
relationships so that you're being an asset, not a liability to an individual, but on both parts, you know, on both sides of the spectrum.
And I
So
believe
just
a friend loveth at all times.
yes.
But there's sometimes where you have to know
Uh-huh.
when to be
It's a,
closer and when to be further away, right? I
Hmm.
think because we're all going through life. None of us, I don't think any of us is at a place where it's like, oh, I'm perfect with people all the time. Ren could tell you, I
Oh
had a season
yeah.
in my life, one of my friends used to call me Pollyanna because I wasn't speaking my truth. I wasn't even slowing down long enough to know what the hell my truth was to speak it. So this wasn't a lie that I was trying to tell everybody. This was
Hmm.
a Tyra didn't even create space and time to hear herself, to know herself, to figure out there was so much in me that I was who I was because I thought that was who God wanted Tyra to be. Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of came up in a type of church system where you you live to please God. God don't love XYZ, right? So God can't
Mm.
love you in XYZ state. So I say all that to say she had to be with me through that process. She had to witness
Hmm.
the Tyra that wasn't real to. She had to be with me through the moments of me finding my voice and create, being able to speak the truth about who I was and what I felt about things, what I needed, what I didn't need. And so, speaking of that, I remember one of the lead ups to my awakening voice wise was having two tumors on my thyroid. It affected my relation, my voice. My voice still doesn't sound like it used to. And so I looked up kidneys
hmm
in the Bible, and I think kidneys is mentioned like 30 times. I made notes. I think kidneys is like mentioned like 30 times in the Bible. The
Hmm.
deep emotions, the bowels of our humanity, our gall, all these things, the emotion, wisdom come from the kidneys. Were there any things that, as you were meditating, that God began to erupt in you through that process? And I have that same question for Ren, who's faced a health issue in that same area.
So my
Yeah.
whole entire spectrum, everything had to change from what I was putting into my body. So stop eating meat for a spell. Um, I just really just started incorporating chicken and turkey after, even a year after, having a transplant. But for about 3 to 4 years, and I've had
Uh-oh, you muted again.
I haven't consumed no alcohol at all. Um, for probably it's been about maybe 5, almost 6 years. Um, so just being mindful of what I put inside my temple, because God has given us this temple in order for us to take care of, and He has given me a second chance by me getting, you know, my kidney and having that transplant. And for me now to be able to advocate, for others that may have gone through similar or going through similar now. So yeah.
Awesome. And Ren, same question to you. You went through a major health issue. Literally, I came home one
Oh,
day. Ren,
mine was no other major than that. But
I came home one day and her mind was totally gone. I mean, she was losing consciousness. That is when I tell you there's certain moments in life I will never forget. And that's one of them.
Mhm.
I was legit scared. Like, I think I ended up sleeping at my mom's house. I was so scared I was gonna lose my friend. She, thank God, got to the hospital in time. life saved. But Ren, take us to when you woke up and you like, wait, I'm not a diabetic. What are y'all talking about?
Yep, I remember that.
Mhm. Because the
I
kidneys,
remember.
right?
Yeah,
They're so
Yeah.
they're a sensitive part of our body that I think we take for granted. And you literally went from having
Yeah.
no issues with your, body to waking up. Okay, I'm out of this coma. Now what are y'all talking about?
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
that like?
Mine started off like a lot like Miss D's, where I woke up with I had a stomach ache, and I we didn't know why, and I did what all the ancestors say do when you have a stomach ache. You drink a Sprite or a ginger ale, you know,
Mm.
and it was just perpetually getting worse, not realizing I'm just drinking more sugar on my blood sugar is just raising and raising, and I would eat, couldn't keep anything down, and this is funny. There was this tea called mugwort tea that I had just purchased. And mugwort tea, it's known to have proper, not like high or anything, but it helps you get to like that third level of REM sleep where you're really dreaming and you can really heal yourself there and stuff like that. So as I'm laying down and I'm feeling all these wonderful, delightful feelings, I'm like, the mugwort tea is working. And from my perspective, this is what's happening. I'm in a
Yeah.
place and I'm flying, and I don't know, there was a booth there, and I think Tyra said she came home and I had thrown up all over myself. And she
You
said,
didn't know it.
you said, baby, you can't say that like that. I said, no, my husband will just he's gonna beam himself over here.
Yeah. I was like, oh
This
my
is
God.
what was happening. And I
Yeah.
was in full, yeah, I was in my blood sugar. I barely remember the numbers. John, what, three, what? It wasn't no 300. I think it was like in the thousands, right? Tyra?
I don't know.
Three, four, no, it wasn't 300. I could tell you that. Yeah, it was up there. It's like between 800 and 1,000, and my kidneys were shutting down. I actually had,
Yeah.
now that I think about it, I had walked around like that for months.
You know what?
Now
That
that I
was
think about
weird.
if not years.
The whole
Yeah.
stomach situation, it had been times where you couldn't eat, where you would just kind of nibble on stuff. And so it was weird. Like once we looked back at it, I was like, huh, you have been getting sick, right?
Mhm.
You have been low
Mhm.
energy, you've been trying different stuff, but who would have it's like the pieces don't come together because it doesn't seem like a huge issue. The body is always whispering to us, but
Hmm.
nothing prepared us for you not being responsive, right? And so when you finally came to the other side and you regained consciousness and were back with the rest of us, when you came out of the hospital, you was on zero tolerance. And so what was that process like for you? Because that's a major shift from the Ren who everybody could call, and I'm guilty of it. I call and be like, Ren, could you Google? And
Actually, it's funny that
you
you,
tell that joke, you probably be joking about me because I call and be like, Ren, can you Google this for me? Because I literally can't Google as well as you.
yeah,
She was, there for everybody. Can you pick Mozzie
yeah,
up? Take him to get a snowball while I go run this meeting. And
yeah.
so what was that like to wake up all of a sudden and
That's
have
the
to
that's the
sit down?
empath.
That's that time sensitive.
That's that empath in me. Yeah, yes, yes, that's what it was exactly. And honestly, I had started noticing, like you said before, I was getting perpetually sick. I want to slightly just kind of interject this in there for us to take notes and jot down and really talk about for another session. But what I realized was happening to me is as I was consistently telling people that I'm not okay. I'm sick. I've always been a very vocal and verbal person, and so I understand that if I want you to know something that I have to tell you, but I overestimate people's ability to hear when I do that, if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
had been telling people for a long time, I am tired. I don't feel well. I'm feeling sick. It's like I don't know what's wrong, but something is wrong. And to be, I mean, I remember telling people that who at the time I had a lot of projects going and like almost I think what I almost was at the height of owning my business really, um a
Yeah.
dream position almost. It's like I just can't function. I don't know. I can't, things are slipping. It's just not working. And but still feeling like I have to because that was everybody else's expectation of me. Because I don't get to be not okay. I don't get, as a black woman in America,
Mm-mm.
you do not get to not be okay. You are to show up, work twice as hard, and get, paid. You got to prove your worth. And especially for somebody like me who was a little girl out of Brookstown that all of a sudden said she was a social media manager. You know what I'm saying? Not a social media degree, not a social media
Mhm.
nothing. All I had was my name and my reputation to build what I built off. And to have these moments with clients, and I'm watching my reputation drop. I'm watching all of this stuff happening. And it's like, but I keep telling y'all, and I was waiting for permission.
Mm.
And that's where I messed up.
Waiting
Yep.
on permission to be sick,
Waiting on
permission to
permission.
stop taking care of everybody else to take care of you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that a lot of times, that's when God is coming in and saying, okay, no, girl, you need to go and sit down. I done told you several times. I'm trying to give you these little warning signs and these little signals, and you just totally ignoring it. So now I got to come in and impact you in a way that's gonna make you go sit down. And because a lot of times, as women
Yeah.
entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
wise, we just hit the ground running, and we're so busy just taking care of everybody else, and we just totally just forget about ourselves. But if we're
Yeah.
gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guarantee you it's gonna still flow some form of a way. May not be the way
Hmm.
we want it to, but it's gonna still flow. And that's something I had to, because I just recently had a scare
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. I was in the hospital. That was
Hmm.
my first hospital stay since having my transplant, and I ignored my body. I ignored the signs. I was extremely tired. I was extremely drained, but I kept going. And finally, God was like, no. I was at the pumpkin patch with my nephew, um, and I passed out. Woke up in the ambulance. Had to have a hospital stay for 2 days.
Hmm.
My iron level was at
Hmm.
3%. My
Mm.
hemoglobin level was at 5.2%. And
Hmm.
they were like, girl, how were you functioning? You had to know. I did, but I just kept ignoring it and just saying, I'm just tired. I'm gonna just slow down. I have this
Mhm.
going on, and I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna just rest. I'm gonna rest extra, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But that wasn't enough, because eventually my body just said zoom,
We shut.
and we finna
Yeah.
shut down. And
Yeah.
you know, now and again, now that's another reset, because the reset never ends. It's gonna always be something else that's gonna come up, but and the reset never ends. So now, being on this continuous healing, I know that, okay, you have the new kidney, but now there are other signs now that I have to pay attention to in order for me to keep functioning and keep, striving and continue on my journey, in order for me to elevate to whatever, to the next level of, and the next chapters of my life.
What would you tell somebody who maybe they're a single mom running a business and they're at the
I
point of
have
their
a
business
okay,
they
I'm
can't?
sorry.
Mhm. Oh no, you had a question?
Okay. Well, no, I was just gonna ask you. I Yeah, I was actually gonna say to Ms. D, I had an opportunity to watch you through that way. And honestly, to me, the way you kind of glossed over that story told nothing about the reset. And I was there because my husband and I, although we ain't seen you, and I don't know, he think he John Bon Jovi, somebody, he living on a prayer and got his hair all spiked up. Girl, you should see him. But we we would see you at least once or twice a month, and be taking be groomed and just enjoy each other's company. And you were still doing that throughout that reset period. And I think,
Yeah,
to me, I know for me, that was the most powerful part of that journey from an outside perspective, to see you every day make that change. And if anybody knows you, although we know when you're sad or when something's
yeah,
not okay, I'll flat out ask you. You tell me no, I just say okay. I know you're lying, but she don't want to talk about it. Let it be. Pray for it. Move on. Um, but yeah, that's my mentality. I be like, all right, you okay, good. But to see you be that resilience in that time period, and that's still one thing I love about your one of the reasons my husband and I are such long time customers of yours is because the the level of excellence that you operate your grooming lounge on, that's an experience. And so for the middle class American like me, we have to make basic grooming feel like something special because I can't go on a vacation. But what I can do is go to that grooming lounge and get my hair cut all in one wop, and I have that experience. And you perfected that grooming lounge experience, and you were still committed to that same type of excellence during that season. You still accommodated me and my husband's wacky. There's only a few people that could accommodate our wacky schedule. She has for years. I'm like, Miss D, I'm sorry, I was supposed to call you yesterday, but I need to come tomorrow for two. Girl, come on,
Ren, it's
still that
relationship.
person.
Like
Yeah,
it's the relationship aspect
yeah,
where elevate is a culture. Like this, we have a culture of our own,
yeah,
and it's the relationship
yeah,
aspect that I have with every single person that walk through that door. Every single person. Like nobody that
hmm,
come here on accident. And if they do come on accident, they don't stay long. So I know, and like I used to tell my students, there's a difference between a customer and a
yeah,
client. To
Mm,
me, my clients are family. You know, my
yeah,
clients are
yeah,
family. So the Elevate family is
yeah,
really, really dear to me.
yeah,
So for me, I knew
yeah,
my passion and my purpose. I know that that's my purpose because behind the
mhm,
chair is my ministry. So I
yeah,
was not going
yeah,
to, and I'm the type of person where I have to. My ambitiousness will not allow me to just sit still.
mm,
Um, but Tyra, creating boundaries for that in order for you to have that self-care is
yeah.
something that I'm still working on. I'm trust me, I'm still working on that. Because sometimes I have to tell myself, okay, Demetria, you are going to put a lunch on your schedule. So now I have lunchtime every week, 7 days a week that I'm taking my time. I started doing my journaling more. Um, Now I'm journaling three times out of the day. And that just allowed me to say, hey, take that time, you know, and sit, breathe, and just recalibrate, and just recalibrating so that you can be your best for either the next person that you that walks into your establishment, or i.e. you're going to a meeting or whatever, whatever I have on that agenda. I can be my best self by just allowing myself to recalibrate those 3 times out of the day, 3 times plus if I choose to. So that, like I said, the the reset and your journey just never ends. Never, it just never ends. Like, and that's big
Yeah.
on having, that self-care aspect. And self-care can just be just going and sit down. I don't know if y'all do it, but I do this. When I get home, I still take another 30 minutes and sitting in my garage. I don't I may sometimes pick my phone up, scroll through social media, but 9 times out of 10, I'm just sitting there. I'm thanking God for my day, thanking Him for, every last person that I encountered, praying for their families,
Yeah.
and just allowing myself to that when I get into the house, now I know what I'm gonna, everything that happened stayed in that garage, in that car. But when I go in, I know I'm focusing on. I take more baths now
Yeah.
because before it was just always a shower. So
I learned
It's
that
the
from you.
answer.
I look
It's
forward to my
the answer.
bath
Yeah.
with my candle.
Listen.
I have my little area created. I have my books. Either I'm going to listen to them or I'm going to have them, you know what I'm saying? And just create. Soon as I walk in my bedroom, I'm putting on either some smooth jazz or so I had to recreate in
Mm-hmm.
order for me to have
Curate.
that Demetria time.
Yes.
Yeah, create.
Creating
You're
that
right.
space for yourself. And I even do it with music because I realize if I listen to and this is no disrespect, but if I listen to too much Rihanna or too much Cardi B or too much Nicki Minaj, like there's just this energy that might get
Hmm.
on me. You know what I mean? And this is not a bad thing because there are times where you need your
You
Beyonce
need
mix
that.
to pop out. And there are times where you might need to call a client and be like, they need to stop fooling with my money and I need my Rihanna to pop out. But for the
Yeah.
most part, walking through my life, I need the softer version.
Till I have my money.
Come on. And so there are times where I
Hey,
got
that's somehow I wake up some
to
mornings. I just wake up, I just jump out of bed, better have my money.
yeah.
Pay
I
me
was
what you
listen.
owe me. I just wake up
The
like that
other night,
sometimes. Just got
I
to.
was in here late because we had the Reset family. We were in Dallas, so my week was cut short. We're doing a book signing at the Women's Empowerment Tour in Dallas last weekend, and my week was short. So I was just, trying to make sure I took care of my clients and things of that sort. So it was one day that I stayed in here late, and I told my client, I said, "Listen, please forgive me." I said, "But I need I need to hear because when you come to Elevate, I don't really
You don't
tune
have
in
that.
and click. I
Yeah.
don't, yeah. I was like, I need to listen to some UGK. Like
Mhm.
I put it, he was
She was
like,
like,
how about
yeah.
that? And then I'm singing the lyrics and he like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Yep.
So I was like,
And
just
look, the next
excuse
thing on the
me.
playlist might be Yolanda Adams.
There you
Listen,
go.
I'm all
There
of
you
these.
go.
I
Yes.
need all
There,
of these.
Yes.
after I
Yes.
got into that
Y'all.
mode, I went ahead and I put on my uh it was CC Winans. Like, and he was like, how you went from there? I listen, don't worry about it. I just
They
had to
all up in
read.
here.
Yes, yes.
What
Y'all,
we
when
need.
we were pastoring for that period that we pastored a church, I would like the night before or the Sundays of, I would wake up with such like anxiety, like knots in my stomach. And y'all would not believe the playlist that I had to listen to on my way to go worship God.
Getting hyped. All right. I'm
Because I
getting
had
ready,
to build
God.
my defenses up against people. I had
That's
to build
called
my
balance.
defense. So like, I'm a
Balance.
survivor. I'm not gonna give up. Yeah,
Yes.
like I had to. So same thing. It's like it's crazy, but it's like I needed Beyonce. I needed some of that feminine energy to, come in and do its job. So same thing.
Yep.
Baby,
That's
baby.
called balance, baby.
So my question is around finances. And so as a single mom running a service-based business, it wasn't like all of your income was totally passive. How did you handle the emotional and mental stress that comes from, oh my God, I'm gonna have to be off. I gotta pay, y'all gotta get the book because you gotta pay for lodging for your family, being off from work, making sure that your donor was straight. How did you handle all of that?
So in the book, I there's a part in there where um I don't think I expounded on. I did a few fundraisers.
Mhm.
I did a few fundraisers, but then again saving, anticipating to that because originally my first transplant date was supposed to be October 15th, and that was with the live donor. And then of course COVID happened.
Yeah.
We were still in the midst of COVID. And then we also went through like 2 weeks prior to that. I had some immunizations because at that point they were saying that okay, if you was not up to date on your shots, et cetera, that you would not be able to have any forms of major surgeries. Well, my nurse gave me the flu shot, and that caused myself and my live donor to be non-compatible.
Yeah.
Um, so of course, that was a part of the reset. The journey
Oh,
continued on that. We tried and tried and tried, and I go into more depth inside of the in the book
Hmm.
on how
y'all.
we finally got to May 1st,
Yeah.
and where
And to see not one character shift during, to see a
come on,
person get better in one of their hardest seasons,
That's usually a
that impressed me so much.
yeah.
And even as I go, that's why I mean I don't compare my ever to yours because I can't say I've gotten to that place where I'm like I'm a cuss about it the whole time. Like I know I'm gonna be better, but I'm gonna
but
cuss about it the whole time, and I'm gonna complain, But it's not allowing it to steal that joy or steal my experience because that's essentially what it does. It's not
man,
even
listen,
about
it
not
was
being
some
able to
days,
complain,
y'all.
and I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
She didn't do that. Yeah.
I complained in private. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I complained in private, and it was
Yeah.
certain individuals that I can go to, cause but you know how because for me, having a pity party, that wasn't even an option for me.
Option.
That wasn't an option. So um I
Mm-mm.
it was days I didn't want to get on that dialysis because I did peritoneal. I did it at home. It was days I didn't want to. It was sometimes where, man, that machine gonna act up. I'm cussing at the machine. I'm never gonna and be like, okay, God, like you need to do something, and just talking to him like he was sitting right there next to me in my bedroom. And my good friend, one of my best friends, Francine
Yep.
Smith, Candy, she would kill me if I call her Francine. She was like, listen, you have
Candy.
to talk to that thing. And we're not going to call your bedroom. This is your transformation chambers.
Amen.
Woo.
So I had to start speaking into that thing. She was
Yeah.
like, no, you in your transformation zone. When you walk into your bedroom, that is your transformation chambers. And that literally my children, I don't know how I would do those total 4 years of being on 5 years of being on dialysis without them. I would get off. I had to be on that machine from 8 to 8, 12 hours, 12 hours a day. And they would have the machine ready. They were like, okay, mama, we're going to take turns emptying and redoing it, and then some days I would feel guilty, and I would just do it myself, and my sons they would get so mad at me. But I thank God, for them, and just really just utilizing the right terminology and dialogue in the midst of that. And literally, y'all, mind fucking myself. I mean, like, girl, you got it. You gonna be all right. You know, going into that mode of talking to myself and like, you got to do it. And him, hashtag but God.
Come on.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hashtag but God.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say as to
Yeah.
why or how. And I talk about it in the book too as well, losing loved ones. Out
In the
of
midst
the
of it.
multitude of loved ones I lost, we lost our queen, my mom. And my
Yeah.
mom was such a strong, strong individual. And for me, all I can do is, after her passing, was really just pointing in on her strength and
Mm-hmm.
allowing myself to just keep pushing through. Just keep pushing through. That's all I can, and just in respecting the process. That's it. That's all I could have done. And that's what I'm continuing on doing. Because now
And
I'm on my healing journey. I'm on my healing reset.
As I
mm,
begin
talk
to
about
study and
healing.
open myself up to more spirituality, in my healing season, one thing that I learned is about honoring your seasons. And it's not the most Christianese thing to say. You should see the church folks tense up when I say stuff like that. They be like, "What? You better speak to that season." I'm like, "No, you're missing it. You're missing it. Every season has its purpose.
Ooh.
Every
Mm,
season has a
I'm writing this
purpose.
down.
It may not be what
Mm-hmm.
you desire. It may not be what you think it's for, but understand that if you take that time to honor your season, that you will get
Mm.
what you were meant to get out. Because I don't know nothing about. I was about to try to give y'all some analogies about putting stuff in the ground, but I don't know that stuff. But you just know there's a season for everything. Um, so
I
yeah,
receive that.
I can't get any deeper than that.
I mean, that's true. And that it's
So
fun.
how
It
did
kind of
you?
is the same.
Mhm,
It
mhm,
kind of marry with respecting the process, right?
mhm.
It
Mhm.
kind of like
Yeah.
every season has a purpose, and just like you said, honoring that. It just, and
Mhm.
it's the same thing as manifesting. If you want to put it in a,
Mhm.
like you write it down, make it
Mhm.
plain. That's all the same.
Mhm.
And
Like it's
sometimes
all the
All the
same association.
same.
That's it. It's all the same association.
yep. And it's so
It's
interesting when
amazing how.
I see a lot of
No, go
times
ahead,
people are
Tyra.
manifest themselves past the season. It's like, no, you are in the season that you're in this moment, and
Yeah,
you are bringing about your next season.
that's
But
right.
to think that you don't have to go through the
Yeah,
healing or the forgiveness or the
that's me.
realism or the boundary setting, like you're trying to,
That's
that's
me.
magic. You're trying to
That's
skip
me.
past some things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
There ain't no amount of
But when
journey
you were taught about a,
that's gonna make you skip past dealing with the season, the
Come
purpose
on.
of that season. Back to you, Ren.
I would say, but if you're taught about a magic god, which religion
Mm,
teaches basically, then
oh, look
you
at
don't
there.
even understand that he was the one who created the times and the seasons. He says there's a season to sow, there's a season to reap, there's a season for joy, there's a season for mourning. There are seasons. God gave us the gift of time because without it, imagine, my conspiracy theories coming out, but imagine all of these experiences hitting us at once
All at one time. If we
without a
had
time.
no
At least time gives us
Yeah.
the ability to process and heal.
yeah.
If we had, God gave us the gift of time and seasons, and that's what we have to understand about that. That's what we have to come to understand and lean into. And so right now I'm at a point where I'm always grateful for my seasons, and I don't um I push them back. Yes, I do. I'm a brat. Okay, I was taught the magic God before I taught the God was taught the God of seasons. And so, it's like I still want the magic God. The one you put a quarter in, you get a Lambo out. That's the God that I want. And that's not the God I have. I have a God that's a parent,
Come on.
But
Wise and
So
just as
yeah,
opposed to
that's right.
magic
That's
fairy.
right.
Right.
yes,
But
Because
sometimes
yes,
we don't have the things in order, right? We don't
hmm
listen
yep.
because
yeah,
obedience is better than sacrifice. And
that's right.
and and we want all the sacrificial blessings instead of being obedient as to how to give it, because he done already mapped it out for us. We're the ones that
Yeah,
don't listen. We the
Yeah.
Like
ones being
Grandma
just,
say,
that's
trying to
right.
skip
Yeah.
over winter and go straight to spring.
Going straight to
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Like
like,
these
cause
folks try
God,
to
if
skip
you're
over
really
Thanksgiving
God,
and going straight to
yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, and you know what? I would when I was younger in my spiritual walk, that would bother me when I would hear people feel like, you know, look at how good God is. I got a Lamborghini, as if this child who's an orphan in Africa, that God has somehow forgotten them, right? And gave you your Lambo, but they don't have nothing to eat. I used to struggle with that
Hmm.
whole magical, God is blessing the blessings on the sum and not the all. And so as I grew in my spiritual walk, it helped me to reconcile some of those things. Because that is
Yeah.
how we're taught it. We're taught it,
Yeah.
speak to them bills and they will be removed. And that is not how the credit bureau
Mm-hmm.
works.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
Pay
Yeah.
them
Nope.
bills.
I've been talking for a long time, and that pile is growing. They just still keep coming to
Somebody
them every
anoint
month, y'all.
Kelly
Did y'all
May
know that?
to forgive
You
us.
pay it, you pay it, and then they want you to pay it again next month. Like something about that just does not sit right with me. It's like, do I ever not have to not pay you? I don't know. They don't sit right with
Nope.
me.
Not
I'm sorry.
energy.
I was about to say, not energy,
I'm telling you.
not Baton Rouge
Yeah,
Water Company.
And
yeah.
they send you both of the bills
Uh,
at one time. I'm like, can I charge Entergy for anxiety? Can I charge Entergy for what's that thing where you provoke somebody? Can I charge Entergy for
Yeah.
that?
I don't know. Maybe we could find one of them class action lawyers to see if he could take it. Just
Yeah.
saying.
If Entergy is bad for our mental health, they are not good for us.
Yes.
Just like the news.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just like the
So
news.
so all of us here, had similar journeys where we had to reset. And so you are on the first of all, you're never gonna be on the other side of the reset. I just someone made a status and said, when do you know you're healed? And I said, healing is perpetual, healing is forever. And again, I know that contradicts a lot of people's theology because we're taught by his stripes we were healed, as in past tense, as in what you're dealing with isn't real. And but once again, there's levels to healing, there's levels to ascension, there's levels to evolution. And that's not saying
Right.
that that's not true. It is true simultaneously, but you still have to have that process. That process is not, you're not devoid of the process. Nobody's exempt. Nobody's
Absolutely.
exempt. You can either,
Yeah.
take it in grace, or so. How did you on the other side of your process, or far deeper in your process, what does life look like for you now? Where have you found the balance between, like I told you the story about, coming back to finding me and loving me. um what brought you back to some balance, like I can breathe a little, but I'm still now going to be mindful. I'm still going to, and be as vigilant about these boundaries.
Today I got the call telling me to come into the hospital after waking
Mhm.
up and literally getting through that 6 month plus um, healing journey
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
when I realized that I can now literally take things in stride, take things in stride, not having to be on dialysis, not having to do that part. So now I can gradually and slowly come back to some forms of reality. But the most exciting thing throughout this whole journey, I would say from the time I got on dialysis, because every once in a while I would post things. I started my um, Road to Transplant Facebook page. So there was a lot of individuals that were following me. I
Yeah.
would like every year from that point, I would do the kidney walk. And every year someone would come up to me and like, hey, I follow you. I'm walking for my sister, or I'm walking for my. So I knew God was talking to me that, okay, advocacy is in your next part of your journey, not now, but right now. And just getting people in my inbox asking me, okay, how did you do this? Or how did you handle this? Or literally helping a very close friend of mine who made her year in July of having her transplant from the time she got the call, sitting on the phone with her on her way to New Orleans, talking to her every hour on the hours, telling her, okay, hey, this is what they're going to do next. Because she was so nervous and by herself. This is what they're going to do next. This is what, you know. So at that point, I knew what my next purpose was. Well, an addition to what I already know my purpose is. And that is to be an advocate for kidney health, kidney disease, not just for single moms. I thought that that was going to be my focus, but for everyone, because so many different individuals just came to me to help them in certain ways, whether it was a question, me giving them advice on different doctors, medications that work for me. But one thing that I always started them off with was, listen, my journey was my journey.
Mhm.
Yours is going to be yours. So just be mindful. You don't necessarily have to do what I do. I'm just here to advocate, to let you know through my experiences of what helped me and how I got through this process to where I currently am. And also, my friend Jakeithia coming to me on the reset journey. Like me, it was hard writing this. It was hard writing my chapter. I stopped at times. It was times where I texted and was like, girl, I can't do this because it was just like the reliving of it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it was still part of my healing because it allowed me, I'm like, okay, I know that the reset journey from surviving to thrive is going to help me to speak to others and help them. And then not only just my message, but we have 10 other authors, y'all. And these are some amazing ladies and gent, because we only
Yeah.
have one gentleman um, that's a part of the Reset family. And that's why we say this: 10 messages, but one story. And not just not just mine, but everybody else is like, once you start reading, man, you'll be like, man, you're gonna be able to relate to everybody's story in some form of a way. So to answer your question in short, I would say being able to be an advocate for not just our community, but for everyone that has been impacted by kidney disease.
Mhm. Tyra, what about yourself? What changes, or what how have you found balance, or how well, I'm saying finding balance, but
Because that's a process.
Yes.
yeah, 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 it's more of like pre you and post you. You know,
Mm,
what's the difference
yes, girl.
there?
One major difference. The old Tyra was a yes girl. And not out of, I mean, it was out of multiple places, right? Yes, out of a guilt
Hmm.
that I hadn't ever dealt with. Yes, out of this place of I shouldn't have and other people have. Um, yes, out
Hmm.
of, I really want to help without regard to how some might impact me, right? Like I might be late to my meeting because I'm gonna pick this person up and drop them off somewhere. And so the old me really wanted to help. And one of the things that I had to understand was just because you want everybody to eat doesn't mean you have to be the one to fix their plate, right? And I credit that to Michaela Bates, younger than me, 100% wisdom, right? You don't have to be the one to fix everybody's plate just because you want to see them eat. So that,
Mm,
that's one major difference between old Tyra and new Tyra. And old Tyra took everything so personally. But new Tyra had to begin to understand that everybody's got issues. And just because I don't have that issue doesn't mean I don't have issues, right? So everybody's dealing with me like I'm dealing
That's
with
it.
them. And so instead of taking it all to heart
That's it.
and making myself the center of the problem, it's okay to take the parts that's Tyra's responsibility and to say, no, you're going to own other person. You're going to own the part that you did or the part that you played. And so it could
Hmm.
be, other person, you borrowing money from me because of a decision you made, or other person, I don't trust you because of this messy thing you said or did, and you're going to own that part, and I'm going to own the part of me that's scared or not enforcing my boundaries, or I'm going to own that
Mm-hmm.
side, but I ain't going to own the whole problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's parts of new
Mm-hmm.
Tyra. New Tyra,
Mm-hmm.
like, I have some chores that I continue to do that I'm always going to do, but I have a lot more grace for myself in terms of not having to get it all done every day, and recognizing that even a boss needs to take a break. It's not to look up at your taxes and say, wow, I made all this money this year and I didn't go anywhere and I didn't get a massage at all. And, my kids might have blown bubbles in the backyard, but I didn't give them a real experience and create a memory with them. Like, nah, I'm not happy with that. And so new Tyra had to get in front of those kinds of things and say, what are the ways that I will intentionally
Yeah.
give myself grace? What are the ways that I'm going to create space to have a family, to be able to invite love into my space? What are the ways I'm going to do that? Old Tyra had a lot more rules about her wardrobe. Like, I thought everything had to be functional. I had to be able to go to work in it because that's all I want to do is go to work. That is not true. I want to go to the club. I wore
Oh,
Dukes and
this is
boots
an
for the first
experience
time in
I've
public.
witnessed. Yeah. How
No,
about her
those parts.
wardrobe? Her wardrobe malfunction, dysfunction issues was something I personally witnessed, and it's interesting to say the least. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
like
serious.
she
You
has a
have to
knack
get
for
with that.
seeing.
It's like
Yeah,
for a knack for who?
you have a knack for seeing things that aren't there, good and bad sometimes. But because
Right.
what I
On
love
the good
about
hand,
you,
I'm gonna
yeah.
wear some good undergarments. Right. On the good hand, Tyra gonna have a slip or some Spanx or some something. Right. So
I didn't
on the
think we
good
were going to
hand,
undergarments.
yeah, but for real, I think we as women need to get better. This Tyra's opinion, but I think we need to take a page out of the older ladies' books. If you
Yep.
look at those pictures of the women in the 60s, man, those women were some fire divas. But you wasn't looking all at all they bras and rolls and all of
Mm-mm.
that. They had a certain grace about them. And I mean, if you've ever gone to a college football game these days, you're like, I can't tell if the strip club has now become the outside, or is it now legal to be naked in public if it's sheer? So you know what I mean? The rest of you could be out as long as there's like a sheer garment over it. I don't even know what's going on these days. So that's the good side of me. The downside is I couldn't go on a date without looking like I was going to work. So I had to
Well,
look past that part. I also had to accept that just because other people think I'm overdressed doesn't mean I am. This is
well,
what I
I'm
like
just
Cause
gonna
that's you.
warn
right.
both of
That's
my.
you. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And that goes back to that deep inner
Yeah.
love, something that resetting will teach you.
Well, I'm just gonna warn you guys. Yeah.
Tell me about the warning.
I'm ready too. What kind
Right.
of warning?
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I was about to say I'm just gonna warn you guys. Listen, I'm just gonna warn y'all guys. I just put it out on Facebook. I done let the kids know. Go ahead and unfollow me now. Because see, this Ren on the other side, y'all other side is there. That other side was had to follow the rules. Not
Mhm.
even really that either. It's just I felt like I had to do what I was told to do to play and win the game. On the other side of 40, I'm only 39. I still got 6 months. I'm just there already mentally. On the other side, it's like I'm playing and I'm winning, and I'm winning by my rules. So there are babe, I don't know. Y'all might see me anything. Just throwing it out there.
Come
Thrown out
on.
there. But that's also part of
Unapologetic.
my self love journey, if that makes sense.
But yeah,
That
that's
that's
being
a part of it, is
unapologetic.
just being
Yeah.
100% apologetic. Yeah.
And we all have to respect that. I think
Yeah.
sometimes
So
I
yeah, y'all
remember
might just
I remember being younger and not quite comfortable with the fact that I was going to be a big breasted woman. That was just going to be my story. And so, I wore the two shirts under everything and the
Hmm.
all the compression and stuff. And when I first got comfortable with the fact that I was gonna have cleavage, I remember one of my bosses being like, I don't know about that top, Tyra. And I had to stand up and be like, no, this ain't me pushing up nothing. This is really how I look. And so this top would not look the same on you. This top would not look the same on somebody else. And that was when I finally
Hmm.
had to come to grips with, you've got to love yourself. You got to accept yourself, but you also have to let other people know that they can't play with you. Other people can't minimize what is true
Yeah,
for you just because it ain't true for them, right?
That's
Because
right.
they
yeah.
may not be able to relate because they ain't
Mhm.
built like you. That
And
used to
I
be my
just don't think I
justification.
should be held accountable for another person's um either
Okay.
moral or ethical. I think that we are at an age both in church and out of church, but for certain in certain places, we still feel like we need to pop people on the hand and say, "No, you shouldn't do that." No, there's a point where you grow up, and you have to be responsible for your thoughts, not what a woman wears. That that's not my job, nor should I be held responsible for that job too. I should be able to wear what makes me smile in the morning. Now, I'm not trying to pull no Lizzo. Maybe a little Erica Badu. We'll see. But I'm joking.
I don't about I'm shaking my head, but then I thought
But
about one thing. I was like, please don't.
but that's not where I'm going with that. but
Please don't.
uh
No
but
one
but
listens to
it's
this.
not even about that. It's still about that being my boundary. That being my boundary is that you don't get to own me. No,
Yeah.
nobody gets to own me. Nobody gets to have right over how I should what I should do, how I should do it, why I should do it. And many people have found out the wrong way or the right way, depending on who tells the story. Um, but I'm not to be owned or censored. I have one authority, and that's
Say that.
God. And I'm, as long as we, and Jesus came, died, split the veil, one-to-one relationship. I don't need a middleman. I don't need a translator. My hearing is well. I don't need an interpreter.
Girl.
We got this. And so as long as my compass with him is straight, hey, I don't know what else to tell nobody else. So that's definitely what that part of my life is about. On the other side of who I was is
Yeah.
wanting to what's the word? Flee the appearance of evil. It's like, but wait a minute, that's called perspective. Anything look evil, depending on how you look
Anything
at
could
it.
look evil.
But
Mm,
see, we don't talk
I
about that. But moving on, go ahead.
I remember what helped me with
Anything
that.
could look evil.
Working with an associate pastor at my day job, and he was an associate pastor, and he had made the comment about
Hmm.
women's respectability. And he said, but
Hmm.
men also have to govern themselves. We got to get out of this role of thinking that it's a woman's responsibility to modulate everything. He was like, because his fantasy or the thing that makes him so hot is women with stockings with hair on their legs. And I'm like, you know what? At some point, no woman thought, well, I probably shouldn't put these stockings on because I'm gonna turn somebody out at church today. Like, and so that was to his point. He's like, a woman cannot cover up, fix, change, clothe everything to the point where a man no longer knows this is a woman. And after that, I was like,
Wait,
you know
he
what?
told y'all he was into that?
Oh, he told us that that's his thing.
He
So he was
actually
like,
admitted that?
he admitted that that's his thing. But who was it? Chris Brown. I think Chris Brown got a song about that. Your pantyhose got a song about that. So it's a thing. But I say that to say at
But
what point
uh,
do we teach our young ladies that you can't accept, stop swallowing all of the blame, all the shame. You got a shape, great. Respect yourself.
Hmm.
Let's figure
Hmm.
out why you want to choose what you want to choose to wear, but don't take all of the responsibility for how everybody else gonna see you. Because they're gonna see how they want to see you.
Yeah.
No.
because their opinion really
Well,
doesn't
can
matter.
Preach.
if nobody if with my daughters, because I grew up with a lot curvier than average kids, and I dealt with, I wasn't skinny enough, and then, I looked older than I was, and was treated older, and then, was taught that I needed to cover everything in order to, although I was proud of what my body is. And so with my teenage girls, because I do have to be mindful that there is a world out there. And I get that that
Mhm.
mindset was kind of passed down to us, not intentionally to hurt us and to keep us kind of chained up, but to keep us
Hmm.
protected, because
Yeah.
they knew that as well that as people should have self-control, they do not. And so what I have always told my daughters, like one day she tried on a dress, and I mean, sis was banging, 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 like athlete's body, just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, girl. But I noticed that she did not have on a bra. So first thing I told her, I said, baby, the first thing I want to say, you look fabulous. There is nothing wrong with your body. You look good. I said, now, what I want you to do is, I told her how the little pasties. And I said, what I want you to do is go to the store, go get you some pasties, or you can find a little hack, and I need you to cover, your nipple area. I said, it's not because there's anything wrong with your nipples. And I don't know if I can say, this ain't national TV, but there's nothing wrong with your, nipples. It's, I want to protect you from people who lack the self-control. So me
Mhm.
changing the narrative with why I wanted her to be more
Mhm.
careful with how she presented herself, it gave her the information and empowered her. And I think that, just quite frankly, a lot of our parents just didn't have the time to think that deep. Like going
Yep.
all the way back from slavery days, why I'm just gonna reach around and slap you. Well, because if I don't slap you first, massa go shoot you first. So I'm just gonna
Mhm.
knock you down, but you're gonna be alive. And that
Yeah.
culture still kind of presents itself where our children are a lot smarter. And so we can't just do the shaming anymore. Oh, you can't wear that with your big old butt. You can da da da. I'll say, I love that on you. You know what may make it look better, or what make it pop? There's a way to pour into young
Yes.
queens without shaming. And I personally, that's another personal mission that I've taken. That everything that I ever was talked about, everything that killed my self esteem, everything that took my power, I would never let a young queen leave my presence, virtually or physically, without having been built up or added to in some way.
Absolutely.
If it's
Yeah.
something that I notice, it's not something I will allow to happen, because that narrative needs to change, and it needs to change quickly, because our girls are losing self-esteem daily.
And we may be the only ones. I think we take for granted that everybody's talking to them. We may be the only ones in
Mhm.
their family that's pouring into them. And so, or we take for granted
Mhm.
that their mamas have common sense, because you'll find out that some of the parents that are raising these young girls don't respect them and don't respect themselves. And so that's really
Right. And
empowering.
it's important. It's important to really listen,
Yeah.
to listen to your children and just, because this generation is just, they're different. They're different from how we grew up. And handling them the way that our parents handle us is really, in my opinion, let me just say my opinion, the
It don't work.
direction that
No.
parenting these days should go. Um, because really and truly, this generation, they want to be heard. They are not silent like we were. Be honest, like we were silent. Whatever, yes. And then we was defiant in secret. That eventually probably caught up with us. And I'm pretty sure that the three of us had our share of things that we did behind the scenes, even if our parents told us no. But these children these days, this generation, they are living out loud. Like they really are living out loud. And a lot of times, as parents, we don't want to accept, um, I guess, the direction or some of the ways that our children are choosing to go, but that's what this generation is about.
Yep.
They're more bold. They're
Yeah.
living
And if we don't,
unapologetic.
yep,
Yeah,
we said how
they're
we
they're not living in fear.
we'll
They
These
have
are
lose.
some
access to more
fearless.
knowledge than we have.
Yes, yes, because they have more resources. They have social media. They have
Yeah.
TikTok. They have, YouTube. They have all that now. Where you have creators, like yourself, Ren, that are constantly creating things for them to go on and watch and just take it and run with it. But they're not afraid. They're not living
Yeah.
fearful like we did. And we like
Yeah.
to say, oh, they just like things microwavable, which in some points,
Yeah.
in some cases, is true. But in
Yeah.
other
Because I'd
ways,
rather spend my time
yeah,
doing other things.
they're living fearful, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking
Fearless.
of
Uh,
yeah, enough. I got fearless. So speaking of
yeah.
social media content, we're gonna get ready to close out. It was so nice catching up with you, ladies. We got
I
to do it virtual
know.
now because we all so busy. But turning into content, me and Tyra figured it out. Man, we always talk about some powerful things. So why don't we just record it?
Yeah.
And so that's what
Hmm.
we're doing. And so it was nice catching up with you guys. But Ms. D, can you please plug both your grooming salon and your book so that we can
That's
get both?
Okay.
So those who are listening and your socials, all your socials, go follow us all.
Okay. So I'll start with the salon. I am the owner of Elevate Grooming Lounge and Spa. We are located here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 305 France Street. We are a upscale grooming lounge that both cater to both men, women, and children. So I created the environment where you can bring your mother, your brother, your cousin, your sister, even your pastor, and come and get a relaxation service, i.e., get elevated to the next level. We do everything from haircuts, manicures, pedicures, massage, natural hair. I have braiders on staff, makeup artists, haircuts, straight razors. I mean, you name it. We're literally a one stop shop, but we're located downtown Baton Rouge. Our website is elevategl.com. My social media platforms on Instagram is Elevate Grooming Lounge. My personal grooming page is grooming underscore goddess. And my Facebook page, personal Facebook page, is Demetria Glover. And my business page is Elevate Grooming Lounge. Um, and I do have my Road to Transplant page as well. And that's it for, the business. And the new business at hand is the reset journey from surviving to thriving. Um, I think I sent you guys the link because I do have a personal link where you guys can actually purchase a copy of the book. Um, and we are on a book tour. We just recently, as I said earlier, we went to Dallas for the Women with Purpose Tour 23. And on the 24th, we will be doing the Business on the Bayou for Bayou Classic. Um, so I'm excited about that as well because it is the 50th um, Bayou Classic. So it's going to be really, really good. That's our next stop. And we have some other stops on the agenda, but not set in to be announced on where they will be. I'm not sure if the link can be put up for them to, but if maybe we can put it in the comment section on Facebook. The
absolutely.
link for,
And
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
if
yes.
y'all want to go see
Yeah.
that, well,
I'm gonna
comment
actually,
below.
yes, and I'll actually gonna be putting it out more in other places for that as well, and we'll be supporting you.
I
I think that's
appreciate
it,
it.
ladies. Any final thoughts?
I just want to thank y'all. y'all when you made the comment of y'all doing this, and I was like, look, I'm ready to come on. I already know how to both of you guys operate, and just having that general conversation. You need that sister time, and is we never can get all three of us together. Um,
Well, we
for us
gotta pick
to.
one of them lunch break spots you have. I
That's
just thought
right.
that. I was like, she
That's
takes
right.
lunch now. I'm proud of
That
you.
I take like I take lunch now. Look, it's Shayna. Shayna got me taking lunch now. Cause
Does it
listen,
really count when you save your food for Mizey? Does it really count?
well, that's my baby. So that's me and my baby. That leave me and my baby alone. That's me and him. Look, I when I
That's
know he
all
coming, Ren, when I know he coming, I only eat a
Miss
certain
Efficient.
portion.
Jonathan, we have to
Yes.
create a parody of a call Miss Efficient.
Listen, I
Oh,
only eat a certain. Now sometimes he don't like everything, because one day I had, I think, salmon and I had some grilled salmon and Brussels sprouts, and he was like, ooh. So I had to go get him McDonald's. So he was happy with that.
she said I
Yeah.
had to go get him McDonald's.
Oh, I
You
sent him
That's
to the
you
corner.
didn't have
Look,
to.
sometimes he'll
Put a
tell me
bill.
this. I'll be good. I'm good with going to the corner store. So we just go to the little corner store and right here by the salon, and he just go and get him a little snack. I got him.
Oh
That's
my
my baby.
gosh, that's hilarious. But that's always who you were. And I'm glad that's no, I mean that's who you are to everybody. That's who you are. And Tyra's the same way. And I think that's why I like attract like
Hmm.
in a lot of ways. And so
Listen, and
I'm gonna
I
end
know
on a
Tyra
quote
would do the
that I
same
don't
thing
know
for my
who
baby.
said it. Yeah, yeah. But what it say you are the with the five people that's around you, the eight people around you. What's that quote? Okay, don't nobody else know it?
I think
Okay,
it's
I'll
like
figure
you
it out,
are
but I'm just gonna close
the
on that
total of the
anyway.
5 people you spend the most time with.
I'm randomly
Yeah,
Ren.
I think that's it. I think that's it, and I call
Yeah,
that
yeah,
my front row
yeah.
few.
Well, good stuff.
My
Well, I'll
day
see you
one.
guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
This was good.
It